Good morning, students. Today we'll discuss about this aggregation. So, before going to this aggregation, what is this all the thing? Aggregation, composition, and all. So, before going to this, whenever we're talking about inheritance, we discuss something about is a relation and has a relation. So, what is the meaning of is a relation and has a relation? The relation which is automatically coming, then that is called as what? Is a relation. That means what? Without taking any permission, we are accessing. That is called as what? Is a relation. If suppose your neighbor is having, so that we need to call it as a has a relation. We need to take the permission, then you can use it. Like another example, car engine, car passenger. So car is an object. Okay. So car has a engine. Car has a engine. That means every car is having the engine. But car may have passengers. Car may have passengers. Like that, there's the relations will be different. So working on this type of the relations is called as object composition. So a complex object can be made with smaller objects or simpler objects. Example, suppose you take it as a car. Now, if you take it as a car can be built up with the different type of things. What it is required, a metal frame it is required, engine is required, wheels are required, okay, seats are required, then transmission is required, steering wheel is required. So these all are required for car. Suppose if you take it as a laptop required what? CPU is required, processor is required, RAM is required, storage, hard disk is required, keyboard is required, display is required. So these all are what? Smaller objects which is made with a one object. This type of thing is called as object composition. So, an object composition is a process of building complex objects from simpler ones. It's called object composition. That object compositions are made with has a relation. So, broadly speaking, object composition models has a relation between two objects. A car has a transmission. Your computer has a CPU. You have a heart. The complex object is sometimes called the whole or the parent. The simpler objects is often called part, child, or component. Okay. In C++, we already seen that the structure classes can have data members of various types. Okay, such as fundamental types and other classes. When we build classes with data members, we are essentially constructing complex object from simpler parts, which is object composition. In any object which made with the simpler objects, the simpler objects can be used to make a complex object. So that is called as what? Object composition. The, then we'll see what are the object composition types are there. There are two basic subtypes of object composition. One is called as composition, another one is the aggregation. Composition and aggregation. So now, what is a composition? So to qualify a composition, now we'll see what this have in the following the relationships are there. There are four types of relationships are there. The first one, the member is a part of an object. The member is a part of a class. A class contains every member. Member should be a part of a class. That's the first one. Then second one is what? The member can only belong to one object. The member only belonging to one object. Suppose if you take that as a car steering wheel. Car, compulsory the steering wheel is required. That steering wheel is belonging to only one car only. Take it as a, for example, a heart. The heart belongs to only one person. That part, the heart is not used by number of persons. That type of thing. The member can only belong to one object class. And the third one, the member has its existence managed by the class. So the class must be managed the existence of a member. That means the class knows the existence of the object, sorry, a member. Then the last point is what? The member does not know about the existence of object class, right? So the member is not required. Member is not at all required. What is the class existence? But class must require the existence of member. Okay. So what is a composition relationship? Are a part of whole relationships where the part must constitute part of the whole object. For example, a heart is a part of a person's body. The part in a composition can only be a part of one object at a time. The heart that is a part of one person's body cannot be a part of someone else's body at the same time. The same heart cannot be extended to another one. That type of thing is called as what? Composition. Right? Then we'll go with the next one, that is called as what? Aggregation. So already we've seen the 4 points. First one is what? The member is a part of a class. Second one, the member can only belong into that class. The member has his existence managed by the object. The member does not know the existence of a class. Just small changes in this aggregation. What is that first one? The member is a part of an class. That's the first one, clear. Second one, the member can belong to more than one object. The member is not belong to only one object. It is belong to more than one object. And the third one is what? Member does not have its existence managed by the class. Class is not going to manage the existence of the member because the member is not belonging to only one object, one class. It is belonging to more than one class. So one class cannot be managed by object class, right? Then the last one, member does not know about the existence of the class, right? So the 2 points are different. What are the 2 points? Second and third one are the difference between the consistence and aggregation. Only these 2 points. Where in the composition, the member can belong to only one object, so that the member existence will be managed by the class. But here, the member can belong to more than one object or one class. Means one class is not going to manage by the single member because the member is belonging to more than one class. Okay, so that is the difference between the composition and aggregation. So here an example we will see. For some, we will say every person has an address. However, that address can belong to more than one person at a time. Okay, suppose take an example in your class. If you are having 2 members are coming from the same house or same area or same house only, then automatically the 2 persons are having common address. So that means that address is shared by the more than one person. Then now we can say that the address is belonging to only one person. The address is managed by, the address is available for the more than one classes. Okay, so and so that is the thing of aggregation. And the small point is there. See, observe. A person knows what address they live at, but the address don't know what people live there. Therefore, that is an aggregate relationship. Okay, clear? So that's the thing about aggregate relationship. What are the aggregate relations? Here the 4 points are there. What is that? A member is a part of a class. A member can belong to more than one object at a time. Member does not have its existence managed by the object or class. The member does not know about the existence of the object. Okay, so there are the 4 points that we need to remember. They are the examples. For example, consider the relationship between a person and their home address. In this example, for simplicity, we will say every person has an address. However, that address can belong to more than one person. Just I am making somewhat bigger size for getting the clarity. Okay, so observe, the address can belong to more than one person at a time. For example, to both you and your roommate or significant other. However, that address is not managed by the person. The address is probably existed before the person got there and will exist after the person is gone. Right? The person before the person only the address is available. Okay. After the person also the address will be the constant. And additionally, a person knows what address they live at, but the address don't know what people live there. Then that is a relationship called as aggregate relationship. Now, taking an example, Here I took two classes. One is called as address, another one is called as an employee, because employee has an address. Okay, employee has an address. So what is this has a relation that is called as a we call as what is called as a delegation. What is called as delegation? Here the delegation only we are explaining. That is nothing but aggregation. Okay, so here observe what are the things are there. Using namespace standard, class address public string. This is the class which I taken from the string.h. Then string address line city state. Instead of taking the char of size, directly I taken the variable, call it as what? Address line. Okay, string address line, string city, string state. So this dot address line equal to address line, this dot city equal to city, this dot state equal to state. So what, sir, why you are use this? Because the local variable and the class variable, instance variable, both are having the same name, then the compiler will get the confusion. To overcome this one, we use this keyword, right? So this is the keyword to differentiate local and instance variables. So because I take an address line, so this address line belonging to local variable, this address line belonging to instance variable. Okay, this dot city equal to city, this dot state equal to state, then close. Here I created a constructor, call it as an address, and I given the values for that. Okay, for that I need to create a variable to store the values. Then class employee, and there is no relation I'm maintaining, but I'm calling this address by creating an object. Okay, address pointer address. Employee has a address, has a relation. Public ID string name. Public ID string name. So employee integer ID string name address. This dot id equal to id, this dot name equal name, this dot address equal to address. Okay, so what address contains? Address contains address line, city and state. Then display printing the values of cout id, cout name, cout address line, cout address city, cout address state, end line. Then creating an object for address, creating an object for employee. Address a1 equal to address of address line, city and state. Employee ID, employee name, and address also I'm sending that one. Right? So calling one class information from another class. Calling one class information from another class. That topic is called as aggregation. And this program already kept in your group yesterday itself. Just copy that program and do the practice. Aggregation nothing but delegation. Creating an object and calling a class objects in another class by creating an object. So that's the thing about aggregation. Okay, so do the practice. Aggregation and composition, these are the two things are there. Composition direct access, and this one is called as aggregation is called as indirect access. Is a relation and has a relation type only it will be there. Okay, thank you.